think they got 2 double bottoms at least. I don't know, I don't really know for sure. But anyways, what I was talking about was we made arrangements to do the dive. I had Charlie Bender and myself. I had Jerry Harrington and Bob Rivers, they were members, and they were on the boat, our boat, operating the boat while we dove. We got there on scene, and I was thinking, I was thinking about calling dive off. I mean, there's, you know, that stuff, you know, just seen in the water. I mean, it's just like that. And so we got all suited up, and I think Jerry was driving the boat. And I told Jerry, I said, spin the boat around in circles 2 or 3 times. And he did, and it pushed you all the way so we dove in then and got down below the oil. Went over to the ship, and they had crew on deck, and they wanted to know what damage there was done. That was the main thing right at that point. And me and Charlie swam up to the boat, and you know, gotta realize oil was pulling out this time. All the oil was still coming out of the boat. And we found the first hit on the bow, close to the bow, but it was quite high, about 5 feet off the side. It was up high on the side, so she hit the shoal on a glance like this and ripped her open. So what I did, I went up, and Charlie, he went the length of the boat to find where the split ended. And I went up and I told the guys, here's where you hit originally. And then Charlie popped up, I think it was 65 feet away, is where he popped up. And he says, this is the end of the split right here. And they go, oh my God, that's close to the second tank. And they were worried about that because there's double tanks. And they were worried about the tanks, the second tank, but they said, we're not losing oil on the second tank as far as we can see. So we went down and we done a little bit closer inspection of that. There was the first part of the hole where it hit, it made a nice size hole in it. And I could actually swim in through it. And I stuck my head in and I shined the light around a little bit and couldn't see too much. Of course, the oil was coming in. It was just, yeah, awful. Just think about it today. It kind of brings back bad memories, really. But anyways, we got up and we went aboard the barge or the tug there, and there was Coast Guard people, there was Seaway personnel, there was insurance personnel, there was a captain, a couple of crew or something like this. And of course, me and Charlie were in suits, and we walked into the pilot house, and you could see the trail of we just walked right down in, you know, dripping oil all over us, and we gave the report, what have you. So they said, well, we've got to get it cleaned up. So they were working on it. They had a couple skimmers there at the time and what have you, and they got some more in and what have you. So they said, we're going to need a second dive, probably in a couple days, which me and Charlie going, we got to get back in these suits again. Well, we went back, pulled our boat out, and at that time they had a spot set up here at the municipal dock. That parking lot was set up with a cleaning station, and we didn't pull the boat out. We tied up the dock, and they washed all of our gear off as best they could. And so then we got the call, I think it was 2 days later. They said, come on down and see what's going on down there now. We aren't getting any oil out. So we went down, and Charlie, he says, one of us got to go in. He said, I really don't want to. I said, I'll go in. You hold the line. So he said, okay. So I went down, I went in, and shined my light around, couldn't see too much oil until I got towards the back of the wreck, or the ship, I should say, and the oil was kind of, what it was, she was down like this in the bow, and all the oil had moved up here. So we gave them that report, and they said, well, we got to get it out. So they gave us a suction. Went in there, we're in there, I was in there like this, sucking it all out as best I could. I got it out pretty good, I guess. And got that done, and that was our end of our diving for the oil spill. But we had to pull our boat out, we had it cleaned and everything. And then the first time I ever seen it done, I never really had seen this before, is they drill holes in the deck. I don't know if people realize, and they put a bracket on there, and it's an air fitting is what it is. And it's a big one, like call it that big, 5-inch, 6-inch, something like this. And they got these big compressors. And they hook the compressors up and they pump air into a sealed hull, and it pushes the water out the hole and the boat floats. It was amazing how it worked. And when they did that, a lot more oil come out. And what they did was, they had 2 or 3 spare compressors up there in case they lose one and what have you. And they had a barge that they unloaded all the oil from all the compartments, because they didn't want to take a chance. And then they took and when they moved the boat, they had 2 tugs on each side with a boom, and they followed the boat, the barge, and the tug to wherever they're going. I don't even remember where they took it. But they had another couple boats behind with skimmers, and if any oil come out, they would skim the oil right out before it flowed over so it wouldn't contaminate any more of the river. They did do a good job on that. Prior to that, they didn't do a very good job as far as I'm concerned. They were very slow at responding. They told the captain to run all the way up there, and I thought it was criminal to run 5 miles up the river in fog in a ship that was in bad shape. But then what they had to do was a cleanup. And I think Thousand Island Restoration, one of them, they didn't want to use any of their boats. And they rented our pontoon boat, and they had an extra pontoon for it. They put it underneath it so it'd take more flotation, and they could put some heavy. And the shoreline had a black streak everywhere. And they power washed it and sucked all the oil up as it come off the rocks. And they done that for the rest of the summer. They were doing this, and I don't know if they done it into the next summer or not. But I know that they were concerned about getting most of it done before freeze up, because if it got into the ice, it would make really a mess. And I think they did a reasonably good job. And there was, I would say, estimated about 1,000 people working on this up and down the river, and every barge that was available, every piece of equipment that was available. Now, right after that, they made a big effort, and they put booms in every village, and they've had suction equipment in every village. And I don't know if they've ever followed up on it and kept it up or not. I'm wondering if these things are just laying in the storage and not even being used or rotten by now. I don't know about that. I don't know if they're following up on it or not. I hope they're a little bit, if it happens again, which I hope it doesn't, I hope that we're more prepared than what they were before, because they weren't prepared before. We did ruin most of our gear, and the insurance company paid for it, so we didn't care. We got random gear. The suits were shark skin, and they're like rubber bubbles, and they were just smooth. And good story is Charlie Bender, he had a goatee with a mustache and what have you. And the first dive, it was black. I mean, it was black. We were all black, but I mean, he had to shave it right down to nothing. He had long hair. He had to cut his hair. I always had short hair, so it didn't bother me too much. And anyways, it was funny because he was all red. He said, "Oh my God, I don't want to back in the water again that second dive, because it was going to hurt." And we got oil on us again, but you know, that was part of the job, I guess. So, it was probably the worst job I ever done. Let's put it that way. I've done some pretty nasty jobs, but that was the worst job I ever done. So, I don't know. Any more questions on anything? Anybody got any questions on it? Yes.
What do they use the raw crude for up there? Is there
I would imagine they're taking it to a refinery someplace. I would imagine.
You don't know where it's located or anything?
No, they were heading for Oswego. They come out of Montreal, and they're heading to Oswego. So they must have got the crude
I
there.
never realized there was one up there.
Back then, they told me it was going to be heating oil.
Oh, heating oil.
Yeah.
So it wasn't raw crude, it was heating oil.
Right.
They said it was crude. They said crude in
I
them
could've gotten it wrong.
things. And them things, they say in the articles of the Times said crude oil. So
It's gotta be heating.
it was going maybe made into heating oil, maybe.
They're not shipping our Pennsylvania oil into Kingston.
They are?
Kingston has a refinery now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
what
know,
they're doing.
I know that, Save the River is, making sure that they don't bring any of the, tar oil down from the Canada and ship it through the Great Lakes. I know that they're not allowing that, which is probably a good thing, because I guess that tar oil is the stuff that would sink the bottom. If we ever had that happen, the bottom too, we can never get it out.
That's what they're doing off the sand barges, right? They're cleaning the sand barges up and bringing the oil back. Right.
Yeah, yeah, but, if they ever lost something like that in the river, or the lake or any place, they'd be ruined for life. I mean, you just could not clean it. And just not
Do you
even
know,
clean it.
is that what the Valdez had on board, was that tar oil?
No, the same
No,
oil.
I think that was floating, that floated ashore, so it must have been probably crude, more than likely, I would imagine.
It's the exact same stuff we have here, because it's the same style of removal. They're coming from underground glaciers where they're getting oil from. Same idea with heavy, same oil.
Yeah, and I'm not, I don't know, I'm not, I know that it messed everything up there bad too, so. You know, one of these accidents, and I don't even worry about them so much. I worry about some of this flammable stuff that goes by. It is bad. If it ever let go, and especially if it was near a village or something like this, the village probably wouldn't survive.
You dove before this accident.
I dosed since '59, yes.
Yeah, before the accident. Now you've dove many years later.
Yep.
Things have improved.
Yeah,
Otherwise-
oh yeah. Well, since the zebra mussels come in, the visibility has improved beautifully. But right now, the visibility is going the other way, because the zebra mussels are all dying off.
Why is that?
I think they made their peak, and then they're going this way now. And plus, I think that they're doing a little bit of pollution themselves when they're dying off, because we're getting layers of zebra mussels this thick on shipwrecks. And we try to tell everybody, don't, clean the shipwreck off, because when it does, it rips part of the wood away. And we tell them, don't do that, so.
Did Brockville help you at all with your oxygen, or no, you guys weren't using?
No, we had our own air supply. I had my own dive shop, actually, at the time.
You took a floating shop out there then?
Huh?
You were filling while you were out there? You could fill
No,
out the, okay.
no, we just took a couple tanks each. We didn't need a lot. It wasn't that deep.
I see.
It was, I think she settled in, I think it was 20 feet of water.
Wow.
Oh, she was on bottom. If she would have went any further, I don't know if he would have made it. He was lucky he made it as far as he did. But the decks were awash, or close to awash, when we got there. Then after 3 or 4 days, they pumped her up.
Has the environment recovered fully, or do you still
Yeah,
see
it-
after effects?
No, I think it's pretty well recovered. It was mostly on the surface, so they sucked up everything they could suck up on the surface. They had skimmers, and then they went along the shorelines and they cleaned up every bit of shoreline that
This
they
is different than from
could.
the Gulf. The Gulf is settled on the bottom.
That's a different oil. See, this stayed on the surface. This is why it was actually a good thing. I mean, it was horrible, but it was a good thing. And it was millions of dollars.
I've been coming up here many, many years, and I've noticed there's a great, the environment is much more. You see more ducks, more of this, more of
Yep,
that,
yep, yep.
than it was. So that had a really effect on the wildlife for a long,
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, we had a boom here at French Creek Bridge. They had a boom there to protect the, going in there, because they were afraid that it was gonna really get up in here too, because we got north wind at the time, it would have really made a mess up here. But it didn't, fortunately. Only stuff that come up through here was boat traffic that was, the small boat traffic that was moving legally, brought the oil up to us. Like we brought oil up, when we come up, And there was a little bit of a wind one day that pushed a little bit of oil up. That's why the shoreline got a little bit messed up.
What did you use to clean up? I mean, like, back in the 70s, was there Dawn? I know,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, we
So
used.
use stuff like that?
They had I don't even know,
Okay.
they had a chemical that they used, a soap of some sort,
Mhm.
and it worked. And they had high pressure washers that they used out on the river when they're blowing the stuff off the shoreline. And when they blew it off, they had a sucker right there sucking it up so it didn't pollute the water more,
Mhm.
you know, stuff like this.
Were they cleaning like birds and, I know, shore?
They were, well,
dust.
I assume they were someplace, but what these guys were doing was just cleaning the shoreline, the docks. And you've seen that picture of that one guy standing over the side
Yeah.
spraying the dock. Well, that's how they were cleaning the docks up. And when they were doing that, they also had the sucker right there because the oil would get it back into the water, and they wanted to clean it up as it went along. And what they sucked it up into a tank. They had big tanks, and they filled the tanks with the oil and water, and then they recovered it. And what they did, they had a big tanker truck sitting down here, and when they got a tank full, they'd bring it in by boat, and they'd pump it out into the truck. When the truck got full, they took it away, and they'd bring another truck in, and there's hundreds of, this is going on all the way up and down the river. It wasn't just here. So, I mean, it was all the way up and down the river, wherever they had, and like Grassy Point State Park, that marsh out there got hit real bad. I mean, it was a mess. Goose Bay, that place just got plastered. All the marsh and everything down in there got plastered. It did recover, but, you know, it was hard to clean the marsh. They did have a cutter at one time, on the front of a boat, and it was lowered knives down in, and they went around cutting the marsh and picking the marsh up, and then cleaning up what areas they could clean up, where they could clean it. Some places they couldn't get in with the boat. It was a big undertaking. I mean, a big one. I mean, it just, people don't realize, let's say today, you wanna go out in your boat, you can't go, period. Unless you live up at Cape Vincent. Clayton, there was limited, you couldn't go downriver, you could go upriver, but you weren't allowed to go downriver unless you were in the cleanup. Alex Bay, Fisher's Landing, all the way down through Augsburg, no traffic, none. Tourists, there was no tourists. Actually, this place was like a ghost town. We did have people coming in because they wanted to work. And everybody, I think that they were paying $4.50 an hour, working on the barge, just cleaning up the area. I think that's what the rate was, and everybody was jumping onto it. I didn't do it. I had enough of that. Me and Charlie both, we had enough of that. And the deck of our boat was all oil, you know, muck on it and everything. It was just horrible.
So when you had to go inside this tanker through the gash,
Yeah.
and there was, by this time, there was water.
Yeah,
We were in
yeah,
water.
right. You, like that there, you could see the separation, and you could swim right up underneath like that ceiling, and there's the oil right there. You could see the oil. Yeah.
Now, when you say you had to clean it with, or,
They gave us a suction, they had it up on the surface, and the
Okay.
hose went down in underneath, and we
Oh,
done.
so you
just
sucked it?
As best we could, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as best I could, I should say, and it was probably, you know, it was probably not a lot, but we did
Yeah.
pretty good. Once they put the pressure to it, once they pumped the pressure to it, a lot of the oil come out. And then they kept the pressure on it, so it hold, and what it is, the air would come down to where the crack was, and as far down in the air, the pressure would go, of course, once it hit there, it would level out. And I guess they didn't lose too much oil when they took it to wherever they took it, the way I understood anyways. They said that they managed pretty good.
How long were you down?
Well, the first time, I would say 25 minutes. And the second time, when we were there the second time, me and Charlie probably spent, let's see, we went through 2 tanks. So we were probably in the order of maybe 3 hours total. We come up and change tanks once.
Oh.
So
Did you
we had
have
about
any-
3 hours in there. And
Any lasting effects?
well, you know, speaking about that, when you had the regulator in your mouth, you could taste You could taste the
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's gotta
oil,
get
you
in.
could taste it. And because you couldn't seal it perfectly.
Yeah.
It didn't get in her eyes or nose or anything like this because it had the mask on. We had the hoods on so it didn't get in your eardrums or anything like that. But I mean, this here was all black. I tried to find some makeup. And I was gonna, before we started, I was gonna go in, I was gonna blacken my face all up and come out. This is what I look like, you know, when I got done, but I couldn't find the right stuff, so I didn't do it.
The article says that some $2 million in damaged suits were filed following that.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of how much money was awarded to people?
I think that they were only awarded the maximum is the, whatever the boat is worth. I think that's, their liability is whatever, like that boat, if the boat and the tug was worth $200,000 or $2 million or whatever, that, I think was the limit on the liability on it. I'm not sure, I didn't hear, too much about it.
Now, the Exxon Valdez, they still have parts of that they're authorizing people in San Francisco to go against the oil manufacturer. But the situation was that they said that it was being blocked by Gulf Oil.
Oh.
Gulf was taking on the side of, they actually bought Exxon for a while to try to stop the actual continuation of it. See, Gulf is the only one U.S. corporation. Exxon and them are actually owned overseas. So they were actually trying to block it to try to help Exxon out. Because Exxon, which used to be Esso, I guess was the original name of it, they were actually going to go bankrupt over the situation with San Francisco.
Yeah.
They're about to bankrupt.
I don't know about this one, what happened with the lawsuits, to be honest about it. I didn't follow, you were gonna say something?
When you dove through the oil, how thick was the layer on top of the water?
I didn't go into it.
Oh, and they spread it, but.
Well, on the water, outside on the water, the first boom, I think that wasn't effective, was about 6 inches off the water. And the stuff was going over the top of that. And then they got new booms in. They got them out of, actually, I think they got them out of Texas or someplace. And they were bigger booms, so that they worked much better. And they didn't go over the top. But the stuff would just build up on the top, just like that jar with the oil in there. It just built right up on the top. And they could suck it off real easy though. So once they got the suckers here and going, they worked pretty good for them, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't a nice thing. So, and I seen a couple of guys that were working on our boat, our pontoon boat, and they had coveralls on, and they were pretty messed up. Just by handling the stuff and what have you, it just get all over you, sticky crap. Anything else? Okay, well, I guess that's all I really got. I don't think that other one will play. I don't think it's not worth it. It doesn't show anything about the film anyways, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.